When you think of a luxury car manufacturer, some brands that should immediately come to mind are Audi and Mercedes. Well, there's one here that has a certain name that is very synonymous for safety. What's up guys, my name's Jeremy and I am A Reviews. Skylar and Amber are living at their own homes, so it's going to be me for a little bit, so don't worry, I'm going to be trying to get my team back together and such. But today I scored an amazing review on this 2021 Volvo XC90 T6 Inscription, which is an absolute mouthful. And I am very excited today because Stadel Volvo, where I work as a service porter, is allowing me to review this thing and put out my very first Volvo review. Guys, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody at Stadel Volvo. I am loving working there. It is amazing. Everybody treats you right. And guys, if you're in the Lancaster area or surrounding and you want a Volvo, go directly to Stadel Volvo. Don't go to no one else because these guys are incredibly awesome and they are just, holy crap, I can't even explain it. But today we're going to see if the Volvo XC90 is actually a worthy competitor against a whole bunch of mid-size luxury SUVs. So let's start off with the competition because the Volvo XC90 is up against some very stiff competition. You've got entries like the Acura MDX, BMW X5, Mercedes-Benz GLE, the Lexus RX, and the very much anticipated and pretty hot right now, brand new, all new, never before seen Genesis GV80 that is selling like absolutely hotcakes. But with Volvo being more of a conservative luxury brand, I want to see if that conservativeness actually kind of hurts it. So I will apologize, I have to run the car in order to have the lights working. But with the Volvo XC90 riding on the Scalable Product Architecture, or SPA for short, platform, this was the first vehicle to actually introduce their new design language. As you can see, you got the Thor's Lammer DRLs, which are very, very much a very key giveaway that this is a Volvo, and it also doubles as your turn signal. You have full LED headlights with active bending light and auto high beams as standard on every single XC90. Up front, there's a change for 2020 as they had implemented a facelift. The grille is now concave, and with this Inscription model, it's a satin chrome finish, which looks really nice. The Volvo logo hides a sensor for your various safety systems. You got some chrome trim down here, and you also have LED fog lights as well as active cornering. So when you turn the wheel, the corresponding light will turn on. It's pretty much another helpful assistant to the active bending lights. But up front, it's very, very sweet looking. It looks aggressive, but yet it's super sophisticated, and I absolutely love that. So like I said, the XC90 is riding on the Scalable Product Architecture platform, which is now spread across the whole entire Volvo lineup. Now your dimensions, it's 195 inches long. Track width is 66 inches in the front and 66.1 in the back respectively. The width is 79 inches, the wheelbase is 117.5, your height is 69.9, and your ground clearance is 9.4 inches. Now that is probably with the optional four-corner air suspension. I don't think that this one has it, but for sure that four-corner air suspension is probably got to be very, very comfortable over bumps. Already more comfortable than a lot of the Volvos I've driven as a service porter. But like I said, this is a mid-size three-row SUV, so don't think that this thing kind of compares with a BMW X7. In a way, it kind of does. It's kind of a slaughter in-betweener, kind of like Hyundai with the Tucson being the compact SUV on the small side, the Santa Fe on the mid-size-ish side that competes with more like a Ford Edge, and then you have the Palisade, which is their biggest one that really competes with some of the bigger mid-size three-row SUVs. So technically a Palisade could compete with this if they come out with a even more luxurious trim. But for now, we're talking Volvo. But coming over here, let's start off with your wheels. You will start off with 19-inch wheels on the base model and the Inscription model, but these ones are the optional 21-inchers that ride on 275/45 series tires, and these are an optional $800. You can also get like a silver finish that's also in 21 inches, but you can even option your whole way up to a 22-inch rim, I believe, on T6 and T8 models. But holy crap, 22 inches. What a crazy world we're living in. Now on the T8s, you will have a charge port door here because, again, it is a plug-in hybrid, and I will go over some specs on that later. But coming over to your mirrors, you have power folding mirrors with an integrated LED turn signal. It kind of sticks out a little bit, but you know, it's just how they went with the design. And it's also mounted on the door instead of the A-pillar, so it gives a more frontward visibility. Coming to your door handles, you have this half chrome and half body color, as well as your keyless access sensor and such. You have this chrome trim on the bottom, some more side skirting. All the cladding is body color. There's no option for plastic body cladding, which is nice. And I absolutely kind of love the aftermarket look of these sticked-on flared fenders. Now coming out back of the XC90, I was actually quite shocked, and a lot of enthusiasts are quite shocked, that it kept most of the actual original first generation Volvo XC90's design. Especially, you can see it in the taillights. So as you can see, it comes from the base of the spoiler and comes down the whole way to the tailgate and kind of wraps around it. Also, Volvo is spelled out very prominently right back there with the XC90, your T6 badge, and all-wheel drive. Now, coming lower down the bumper, you do have this chrome strip here that surrounds the reflectors, and the Exhauster 2020 fake. They're half real and half not. I'm fine with it. You got well-integrated parking sensors as well, and you also have a foot motion activated lift gate. Also with this Inscription trim, you do get front and rear parking sensors, which is very helpful. Let's open the trunk. You can either use the key fob, you can also use the button that's located right under here, or again, the foot activated lift gate or the interior release. So with the XC90 here, you do get a power lift gate, which is very nice. Behind the third row of seats, you get 11.2 cubic feet of space. Now, in order to fold the seats down, you have to pull on this lever here, which will fold the seats down. I am definitely wishing for power seats. Folding those seats down, you get in between anywhere from around 40 cubic feet to 42 cubic feet. And again, you have to jump inside to fold down the second row of seats, which is not the way to do it. Folding those down, you will get up to 85.7 cubic feet of space. That's just a little bit short of something like a Hyundai Palisade by about 7/10 of a cubic foot, but then again, the Palisade don't even compete with this, so yeah. As far as your finishings, under the load floor here, you do get a spare tire, which is amazing, and I absolutely love that. It's all foam surrounded, so it definitely will cut down on some road noise. You got a little pocket back here. You also have grocery bag holders right here on this side and this side. You have a 12-volt port as well, a little cubby there. I mean, it's pretty darn spacious back here, even for the size of it. And even though it does kind of fall short of some key rivals, it's still pretty spacious. And I think most of the time, probably people are going to leave the third row seats down. So before we go ahead and jump inside of the XC90, let's first take a look at the key fob. Now, this is Volvo's key fob that they've introduced on all their new models. This one in particular is leather wrapped, and it's also wrapped in black, which is very, very nice. And it's kind of it has like a detonator style to it. Your buttons are on the side here for your lock, unlock, your trunk. Your panic is on this side. I wish that they did include the feature where you can press the button and the headlights and stuff would turn on to kind of help you navigate to your car at night. I found that a very useful feature with me being a service porter. But when you hit the lock button, I just love that sound. But Volvo won't let you just sit there and push the button, as you can see, and let you hear the sound of that thing, but you know, it is what it is. Now, coming up to the door here, you do have keyless access with starting. You just push the button on here, which doesn't seem to be working. You push this here, and it will automatically lock and fold the mirrors if you have that set. Now, to get into it, you do have a sensor behind the door handle, so all you have to do is put your hand behind there and open it. It's also on the rear doors, which is nice. But at a first glimpse, this interior is absolutely insanely luxurious, and it's got the quality to back it up. But getting inside, it's got a lower step-in height than I'm kind of used to. The air suspension should be able to help this out, but this one isn't riding on it. Now, shutting the door, it sounds solid. And this is kind of a relatively new platform. The XC90's now been around for about 5 model years, so, you know, no complaints there. Now, as far as starting it, there's no traditional starter button or a starter button down here. Instead, you have to actually twist this knurled knob in order to get the engine to start. Now, what you're looking at right now is the 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. This is completely standard across the board. It is modestly configurable. It's nowhere near as configurable as Audi's virtual cockpit. You have your speedometer on the left. You also have the map display, or whatever you want displayed in the middle there, as well as your tachometer on the right. Up here, these little kind of rings around this box is your message center that will tell you various things like servicing and fuel level low and such. Now, to control this, you actually use this button here, which brings up a menu that you can literally go through so many freaking options. It's like, it's quite a redundancy, but you know, it's a first world problem for me. But you use the forward and backward buttons to go scan through your media. You can go look through your phone book and navigation, all from literally there just by almost barely not even looking at the steering wheel. Now, as far as configurability, if you go into the settings and you want to change, say, the actual look of it, you can change between 4 different display themes. You can choose glass, minimalistic, performance, which is my personal pick, or chrome rings. I like the performance because it turns everything red, and I am very much into red. You can show in the middle nothing. It'll zoom in on the gauges. You can show your current media, and you can show the map, which will zoom it back out again. As far as the refresh rate, it's pretty smooth, but I can tell it's kind of somewhere in the neighborhood in between 30 and 60 frames a second, but I'm kind of literally nitpicking right there. But coming to the steering wheel here, it's heated, it's leather wrapped, it's also two-tone. I absolutely love that. Now, I wouldn't personally pick a beige interior because of the dirt showing, but it's absolutely incredible. Even this part here is soft touch, and it's honestly, it's kind of a little weak because I just kind of scratched that up a little bit, so I apologize. But you got gloss black buttons here and here. They will come with standard black buttons, just normal plastic ones if you get one of the lower models. It's also a 3-spoke steering wheel. It's manual telescoping. I wish it was power, especially at this price point, because a lot of competitors even offer that standard. Coming over here, you have your return signal and headlight integration here. Your fog light button, your cornering lights. To turn on the high beams, you just flick it backward like that. It will turn itself off. You can also turn this little dial up from the auto setting to turn on your automatic high beams. You can just turn them on here and such. Your trip reset button is right on the end here. Over here, you got your wiper stalk with a kind of random button that will only let the wiper blades go once, which is interesting. And I guess you got also rain sensing wipers as well. Coming over to your door panel, you have 3-person memory, which you do just by pushing this button and then pushing the memory button and pressing the button here. You also have a 600 watt 14 speaker Harman Kardon audio system. Now you can get an even higher up audio system that is a 19 speaker 1600 watt Bowers & Wilkins sound system. This one already sounds very clear and concise. It's one of my best, it's actually the best stereo system I've tested yet. So I can't even imagine how the Bowers & Wilkins is going to sound. But you also have your door handles here with some nicely designed chrome trim here. You also have wood inlays here that are real, and this is kind of a birch look to it. You have a leather padded armrest on the top of the door here with some genuine stitching. It's even soft touch down here. Your windows are automatic one touch for all windows, which is very nice. And Volvo does this very well, and I know new Hyundais are starting to come with it. You have automatic child locks from the inside of your car that you can just literally press a button for. You don't have to go and open each door and automatically stick your key in there and lock the child locks, which is nice. Down here you've got a pretty decent sized storage cubby, and it's even soft touch down here, which is nice. Even like the inside of this is soft touch. That's honestly a touch I was not expecting, but there's also felt lining in there. Coming back here, your dashboard, it's all leather, and it's got genuine stitching. There's more of that genuine stitching here in soft touch material. There's soft touch everywhere in this interior. The only places I have not found soft touch materials is right here at this part, as well as this little cubby here that opens to put some things in there, like maybe a small water bottle or parking tickets or something like that. You got your trunk release here, and you also have your dimmer switch for your instrument cluster and such. But coming over here, this is where Volvo started to actually really get ahead of the game, but is starting to fall behind now. This is the 9-inch Sensus Connect infotainment system with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It's wired though, but it also has a Wi-Fi hotspot as well. Now this, if this looks very familiar, it pretty much is laid out exactly like an Android operating system. You can swipe over to the left to see your vehicle functions as well as some interior commands. You can also set which safety features you want on and such. Like I said, the active bending lights earlier. Here is where your main home screen is. You got your navigation here. You also have your Bluetooth or your media, your phone, among other things. Coming to the navigation map, you can press this button to open it up. It's also got 3D visibility. It's very, 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 very responsive to my touch. You can pinch to zoom. You can't tilt it. Now I have a few major complaints. Before that, there's your home button. One of my biggest complaints, you have to go into the infotainment system to adjust your climate controls. Everybody hates it. I do too, because it involves too many button pushes instead of just a physical button put down on the lower side of the dashboard. Come on, Volvo. I mean, I know you wanted to go minimalist, but that's kind of not the way to go. But it is kind of easy, as you just push one button and select what you want to. Like I said, you got a heated steering wheel as well as heated front seats, which is standard on every single XC90. And you have ventilated seats, which you can turn both of them on, which I just found out. But they're honestly kind of loud. But regardless, you can also swipe over here to the right to see your applications and such, and some other vehicle things. You can swipe down here to see your settings, a embedded owner's manual, and your profile here for driving. Let's turn them things off. Coming down here, you have your little tiny control panel here. Nice little hazard button and a quick direct access for your windshield wiper or the defroster and rear defroster. Your control for your volume, which is actually knurled, which is very nice. And then you have the button here to drop the glove box, which is felt lined, it's damped, very nice, and it's even cooled. I have never seen a cooled glove box before. Honestly, it's something I wouldn't need, but some of you would. Now coming down over to here, you have a traditional gear lever here. You pull all the way down and to the left to go into manual mode, push away from you to upshift, pull away from you to, or pull towards you to downshift. It controls the 8-speed automatic transmission. Putting it in reverse, the backup camera is exceptionally great quality. It's also got guidelines. You can also get a tow bar option here and show a line right in the dead center to help you align your tow bar if you get the towing package. You can also press this button to zoom in. You can also turn your front and rear parking sensors off. Your cross traffic alert with automatic braking and such. If you get the advanced package on the T8 Inscription models, you can also get a 360 surround view camera system. Now this brings up another complaint. It's not all that great. Now the quality is exceptionally good. It's very good, but the stitching is blurry and it's not great. I expected Volvo to do something better than that. Now when you also put it in drive, you can also see the camera still stays on for a little bit until you reach a certain speed, so that's nice. But pushing open this cover here, that's also dampened slightly. You get a 12-volt port and a very, very, very tiny little space here. I don't know why it's so small, kind of laughable. But pulling this cover open, you will see one of the changes for 2020 when this thing was refreshed, and that's the addition of a wireless charging pad. Now, this is a big complaint for me. This is my OnePlus 8. It is not exactly a very small phone. It's about the size of a iPhone 11 or iPhone 11 Plus. If I put it on here, it will refuse to wirelessly charge. But the cup holders got moved back here, and as far as the space of them, they are very good, and I apologize, there's a screw on the bottom for the dealer plate. It's very nice. They got grips in it. It'll fit drinks, no problem. Again, your starter button here, it's knurled. Your drive mode selector is also right here as well. And to change your drive modes, you can't just go scrolling away. You have to push on it, and then you've got 5 driving modes. You got Eco, Comfort, Individual, which is your custom mode, Dynamic, which is sport mode, Off-road is also the more off-road version, as it suggests. Now in off-road mode, if you do have the air suspension, it will raise it up gradually as such. It will kind of shimmy its way up. But if you go into eco mode in that air suspension, it will drop it as low as it can go for the best fuel efficiency. Now coming back down here, again, leather, the armrest is super soft. Opening it, it reveals a small-ish center console here. You do have 2 USB ports, one's for the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but I do wish that this console was a little bit bigger. You got an electronic parking brake as well as auto hold. Now let's talk about your seats, because this is where Volvo does it very well. Now on the Inscription trim, this is genuine Napa leather, and oh my god, this has probably got to be the best Napa leather, actually leather entirely, seats that I have ever sat in my entire life. They are supplely soft. They are literally as soft, like, as a Rolls Royce driving and its suspension. But regardless, you do have a 16 power-way seats with 4-way lumbar. Your side bolsters are also adjustable, and a cushion extension, which gives major bonus points for me. And you can kind of select through here and use this little toggle here to go up and down. and then use your lumbar control to control everything here. The head restraints are fixed in place though, but that's because of a certain safety feature that Volvos have. But holy crap, I'm absolutely loving the interior of this. Now let's go jump into the second row and go and see some more features. Now getting into the back of the XC90, the door opening is quite wide. It's very nice, so that's a plus. Shutting the door, it's got a very solid sound to it as well. You also have rear window peasant blockers. They're not power, but I kind of expected that. You also got more of that leather up front. The interior quality back here is absolutely almost matches the front. Again, you still have that same wood trim. It's soft touch back here as well. Even the whole way down to the bottom where the cubbies are, where the cubby is for drinks and stuff, it's also soft touch. Even the backs of the seats, even though they are technically a plastic, they are very, very premium feeling. It's got a very great grain to them, and I absolutely love it. Now, I forgot to mention this up front, but you do have 4-zone automatic climate control, which is very nice. You do it via a touchscreen back here, and it's locked, which you can press on there to turn it on. But the front control has to be on in order for you to control the back. You also have heated seats back here, 3-level. Air vents back here. You have a 12-volt port, or actually 2 USB-C ports back here. Some cup holders. You also have the cup holders in the doors. Now, as far as these seats are concerned, they are manual sliding as well as reclining. And they don't recline very far, but I'm not going to complain too much about it because it's probably because the back seats are down. Let's try it again. They recline to a nice way. It's not as much as some other rivals. But sitting behind myself, I'm 6'1" tall. I've still got about 3 inches of legroom left. Headroom is excellent, even with the panoramic sunroof that I forgot to mention. LED lights back here and throughout the whole interior. Your ocean handles are pretty high quality. I believe on the T8 inscriptions, you can even get them leather stitched. I am sorry, but who would want leather stitched ocean handles? That's just the quality that a lot of these luxury manufacturers are going to. But the XC90 is only available in either a 6, which this one is, or 7-seat configuration, and I will explain why later. But with the 6-seat, a lot of people complain about the armrests not being here. Volvo says that it is actually for easier access to the third row, which is honestly very nice. I also forgot to mention, up on the A pillars, or the B pillars here, there's vents also. I very rarely see that nowadays in luxury cars, and I'm glad that Volvo puts them there because that's honestly one of the things that I wish was on every car. But let's go ahead and jump out back and see how much room there is. Now, jumping into the third row, again, this 6-seat configuration makes it so much easier for the back. You can get a bench seat up here, but out back here, I have the seat pulled back pretty decently far. My knees are not digging up against the backs of the seats, but headroom is an issue, of course, as is in every mid-size 3-row. But it's honestly not as tight as many are saying. Now, I'm 6'1", so I'm not exactly small. But I'm going to move this seat here on the way right, all the way back in its tracks, and I'm going to jump over to this side. And yeah, now my knees are starting to dig in. There's also not a lot of foot room, but that's kind of expected. As far as your rear seats are concerned, I cannot find a latch to recline them. So you have no reclining second row seat or third row seats, which I kind of find is, you know, not a very great omission. But you do have 2 cup holders, as well as a little piece here for your cargo shade. You also have rear air vents back here. That's very nice. And Even on both sides, you have little storage cubbies under the hard plastic here, which is cool. You got the speakers in here, and you even have the lights back here too, which is cool. But in any ways, to get out, all you have to do is push a lever located on this side, and it will tilt the seat up and forward, but you can't keep a child seat in here, but you have to push the seat forward, and it leaves a decent size opening. But there's one big complaint I have, is that these little plastic levers here kind of jut out, and all I see happening is them ripping out. I'm just looking at it as far as the kids are concerned. Ouch. But I think you can possibly do some adults back here. It's not as spacious as some other similarly sized vehicles, especially the Hyundai Palisade and Kia Telluride, that have a slightly larger back seat than this and is about the same size. But let's finally go out and take this thing out for a test drive, because I am very, very excited to tell you how much mental confusion these powertrains are. All right, so it is time to now take the XC90 out for a test drive. Let's talk safety first, because that is one of the things that Volvos are very much known for. Volvo's safety is unlike any other brand in the world. They actually research data from millions of crashes with every single other way possibly found. They analyze a lot of crashes, and they actually don't just analyze data. They go to crash sites and they see what they could do better, and they design that into their cars. So that's why the 2019 model year and 2020 model year Volvo XC90s earn a Insurance Institute for Highway Safety 2020 Top Safety Pick Plus award, because it earns good ratings in all crash tests, as well as a superior rated front crash prevention system, an advanced pedestrian detection and prevention system, as well as acceptable rated headlights across the whole entire board. Now, your safety features, there is a whole gamut of everything, and I will go ahead and list them to my side. But let's talk about the mental confusion part, the powertrains. So you're going to first start off with the base T5 motor. That's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with 250 horsepower. Now, that's only going to be available in front-wheel drive, but it'll get you decent gas mileage. Now, you can step from that one up to the T6, which is also a 2-liter turbo, but adds a supercharger on top of it. And it's also kind of like a sequential kind of sequence to the boost. The supercharger will pick up where the turbocharger leaves off, and the turbocharger will pick up when the supercharger leads off. The T6 makes 316 horsepower. Now, there's also, like I said about the T8, that has the same engine as this. It's based off a T6, so that means it's still got the same 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that's also supercharged with 2 electric motors, one in the back, as well as one integrated into the transmission, for a total combined horsepower rating of 400 horsepower and 472 pound-feet of torque. That's nuts. And that thing will rocket to 60 miles an hour in a claimed 5.2 seconds. Now, I've seen Car and Driver test it with a slight rollout, and it did the same exact maneuver in 4.9 seconds. 4.9 seconds. That is absolutely quick for a 5,000-pound SUV. But as far as first impressions, this thing is so smooth. I have it in comfort mode right now, and I'm just driving along normally. The engine and transmission are very refined. Now, this T6 version, actually all engines of the Volvo XC90 come with an 8-speed Aisin-sourced automatic transmission, and it is beautifully smooth. it is beautifully smooth. So like I said, this thing has 313 horsepower. I'm going to put it in dynamic mode. I'm going to actually come to a stop here real quick. I'm just going to stomp on it. That was already 50. Now, you can really hear the supercharger. That is nuts. Wow. That supercharger whines. Now, as far as handling, again, this is on the non-air suspension. This thing, it doesn't really roll all that much, but it sticks. And I guess that's why you can call the XC90 kind of a handling beast. This thing sticks to the road because of them 275mm wide tires. Now, even in comfort mode, now transmission's a little bit slow to downshift in comfort mode. I would have liked to see a little bit more improvement in there. Now, as far as steering feel, it's very smooth and it's very communicative. Now, this is not a exactly perfect road, but it's still very quiet. But as far as your steering, it's very quick, it's very communicative. There's no real like dead off center feel, which is great. And also, it doesn't really require all that much effort. There's just the perfect feedback. To wrap up the XC90, as far as driving, it's brilliant. The powertrain's excellent. Everything about the driving is excellent. So definitely, I would say this thing is a luxury car. Let's talk about the review score.
It's caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire.